Hello. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Like, there's such a thing, right? um, Today, I'm going to do it's kind of like a two-parter, but they're related. First, I was going to do a video about palm muting, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, somebody asks some questions about palm muting, because that's why I did it as a live stream versus just making a video. So if you have any questions about palm muting or anything that we're talking about, just go ahead and leave it in the chat. Otherwise, plan is to talk about left, center, right guitars and palm muting, and then specifically how those two relate. So let's get started and open Amplitude. Okay, I'm going to switch these windows around a bit too. I'm going to make this guy a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this works. So, left center guitars are when there's a variety of ways to get them. In the past, you would have had to track 3 guitars generally, and then pan them left, one all the way to the left, one all the way to the right, and then one in the center, so like 50-50. But now, with stuff like Amplitude, there's literally... See, I should have this smaller. Okay. Too big. Oh, no. With stuff like Amplitude, you have options to get that without having to go over it 3 times. I mean, and that could have been done back in the day, but it would have taken a lot of resources and would have been easier for a lot of the time to just do it 3 times. But so in Amplitude, and whenever I'm using Amplitude, by the way, I'm always using the Tonex sounds. See, those are my favorite. I love the Tonex. Gotta shave. Like how much gray is going on here. I gotta hide it better. Not by dyeing, just by like getting rid of it. Shaving. It looks stupid anyway. Anyway. Amplitude lets you have a single guitar just 50-50. You can do stereo. Now you kind of have to do a little bit of tweaking. Just make these. So now we have 2 complete different chains happening, and then they're happening in stereo. And if you're curious, all this stuff is just disabled when you're using the Tonex. When you're using a Tonex capture that has a speaker cabinet. So this is all just turned off. It doesn't show it as it is, but it is. It's kind of confusing. And you can see that it is here. But I wish they kind of like grayed it out or something. Maybe they do, and I haven't noticed. So here's stereo. There's another stereo option where it's more like a true stereo source, but maybe somebody can answer this, who knows. I swear to God, it sounds different when I use it. I could be that I think it's swapping these 2. Look. See, it swaps them. Now we lost the... So here's the mono to stereo. Now we're going to stereo. See, it sounds a little different. I don't know if it's just because they get swapped. See, it swaps them. And then when you try and make it the same, they're like related. They're interconnected. So when you change one on here, it's going to change it on here. But so that's normal, you know, single tracking stereo. And then you can get LCR guitars through this option right here. Whoops. Can you see it? This option right here. Single 50/50. Split into stereo, but then you kind of have to make a small tweak to make it actually stereo. And then left, center, right. Now, if you took the left, center, right and just muted the center, that's the same as stereo. A thing about LCR guitars is that you can really only use them when you don't need the center for something else, like a vocal. And so they're good for like intros and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure you can automate this stuff. But even if you couldn't, you can just do 2 instances anyway. If you just mute this, so say you have like a big intro. You could just mute this when you get to like the verse. Here, there's like space in the middle now for a vocal. Versus so keep that in mind. Now, how does this relate to palm muting? So it relates to palm muting because most of the time when you hear really, when palm muting has a big impact and it's like, it sounds really amazing, part of that effect is more often than not double tracking, triple tracking happening. So multiple amps interacting to give you a much thicker sound. So like, now compare that with just a single. It's a little quieter, so that's not really fair, so let's turn it up a little bit. So it's still good, but when you start to introduce more elements, to me, it really makes like, oh, that's what palm muting is. Like when you hear it on like a Blink-182 record or a Metallica record or, you know, those are like old ass examples because that's how old I am, but. Let's tilt this down a bit. See the plan. Posture. So just a lot thicker, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, when you hear palm muting on a record, it's more often a scenario like this than not. And like, I'm pretty sure that like if you were to go see Blink-182 on tour, like whenever they're playing, I'm sure they're playing soon. I'm pretty sure you're gonna hear stereo guitars like the whole time. Hold on. I gotta let my cat in. It's great. He wants it. This is Peter Pan And I'm wearing a Peter Pan shirt. Oh my god, I didn't even plan that. He just showed up at our house. Isn't that crazy? Just was in our outdoor laundry room one day as a kitten. And so we took it as a sign from the universe that he was our new little guy. It's Peter Pan. Peter Stephen King Pan. Stephen King is his middle name. I just feel like you guys should know a little bit about me, you know? If I'm going to... So, I was hoping somebody would be here to ask a question, but I'll just explain it like as best as I know how. So for palm muting, I'll scoot back a bit. Okay, so for palm muting, it's a delicate balance, and there's varying degrees to which this can be employed. You can press too hard. I mean, you can press too hard so that you change the pitch. You can press too hard so that it's not making a sound. You really want, even though you're putting the fleshy part of your hand on the string, you still want it to sustain and ring. Hear that? Let's get the bigger one. You want to keep your wrist really loose, and you're not squeezing the pick too hard either, but obviously you don't want to drop it. Big part of this is control, because since we're using 3 amps, there's way more noise than we would have. So I'm always using like my pinky and the bottom part. So here's kind of, it's like here that you're feeling the strings, and where it's happening here, these are where the treble strings are just getting kind of dampened, and so they don't ring out. It almost feels like you're splitting your hand into two, where you're still moving this part of your hand, but this part of your hand is very much stationary, just muting the strings, not killing them. Now that same push, a little bit of it can give you a tighter sound. Better not get copyright for that. This is just a chord. I'm just playing a chord, man. Versus you can hear how if you go too much, you get these weird harmonics, and it's not pleasant. And too far back, you're not muting anymore. That's appropriate for some things, but so really about the furthest away you can get is you'll feel your hand right on the bridge, like in the corner of it, right here. You'll feel that like right up against your hand. Sometimes people complain about like the way the Fender saddles feel, but any of that to me, it's like it's a tactile way to know that you're in the right spot. So I like that kind of scraping. Not like I'm digging my hand into it, but just a little bit of it is like, okay, yeah, I'm where I should be. I feel it like almost in the back of my hand. Okay, now that kind of motion. Now when you're alternating with not palm muting with open strokes, you want to keep economy of motion, just like you don't want to push your pick too far away when you're playing lead. You want to keep it nice and close to the strings for maximum speed. You want to keep your palm. You're just kind of barely lifting it. You're not even moving your hand as much as you're just releasing the strings. Okay, now I've been doing all downstrokes, but a lot of palm muting, it's up and down. Now, if you can do all downstrokes, I tend to think it sounds cleaner, it's cooler. But sometimes you're going to hit like a wall with speed. And so at that point, you're going to do up and down. Now, some people are better at this than others. I'm not super good at this. When I do up and down, it sounds way different than my all downs. Now that's inherently part of the style, but some people are really good at their up and down is really, really clean, and they can almost fool you into thinking it's all downstrokes. For this, your pick is going to get... This is true for any kind of faster playing. Like, once you get faster, you kind of like... It's just like drawing details versus, like, painting on a big... When you're a kid, you're, like, painting a sky. You just, like, go like this to paint the sky. And then if you're, like, making any details, you're kind of like this. So that's true for guitar, right? Where the less speed you need, the more you can kind of fill out the area. But then when you're getting into, like, really minute details and more speed, you just kind of like, you don't tighten up, but you grip a little bit tighter and bring the pick in a little bit more so it's a little bit more rigid, so you have more, so it's not like getting pushed around by the strings. See, I could never play that fast single. I mean, maybe with a lot of practice, but... And sometimes when you're playing single, you'll end up doing like some doubles, so some up and down. When you're doing all downstrokes, you'll end up doing up and down. Whoops. Almost dropped the pick. And that can almost be like part of the rhythm. It could be like a cool variation in your part. So yeah, that about wraps it up since there's no viewers, no questions. But I'm going to keep doing this. Onward. You know what? I'm going to do one more thing that I learned just messing around the other day. This is kind of cool. So, I feel like people yelling outside or something. Hope everything's okay. So when you're using Tonex, like we talked about, when the vast majority of my Tonex captures have cabs, so I'm always disabling the cabinet in amplitude. Now some, like this one, see there's no cabinet. So if I were to use this one, I'll put it right here. Whoops. You can see it comes on, right? Okay, yeah, hopefully it's, there we go. So when it's capture with a cabinet, bypassed, capture without when it comes on. So now knowing that, we can this is a cool trick I learned. I was messing around with UAD Sound City, which is a really cool plugin. And it has presets across the top. Hell yeah, it opened pretty quick. Okay. Where'd it go? Oh, it's still huge. Okay, smaller. So, most of these, they're just like presets. But then guitar, there's speaker emulations. And I was so confused. I was like, how'd you use these? This is how. If you, the 412 and the 212, if you use those with amplitude or Tonex, where you're using a cabless Tonex capture with the cab turned off, it basically sounds really great. I'll do this. Okay, let's see. Let's find a better sounding thing. I know I have some cabless, like more appropriate for the kind of guitar I have, like some more metal stuff. Oh, whoops, not Fender. Okay, here we go. So what I found is that this can give you a lot of people saying like the Tonex capture, like missing some ambiance. You gotta remember to use obviously you gotta mess with the settings, but I feel like just quickly messing with it, you can get like a lot closer of a ambiance. You can also do the same thing with like any of the studio plugins. You would use a capture with a cab and then just put it in, for example, the Sunset from IK Multimedia. This one, okay, turn this on. Same thing, you gotta kind of mix. So here, this one's a lot more intuitive because you have your dry. There let's get a more beefy capture. Okay. Where's amplitude? Come back. Oh yeah, we need a cabinet for this one. Let's find something heavy. Triple rack, that's what we want. T-rack. So we're using a capture with a cabinet and then just placing it right before the Sunset plugin. Have our dry up. And then you can mix in. So it's a good way to get liveliness. Make it sound a bit more... I mean, I think the Tonex sounds really real, but I know some people are like, oh, it's missing this thing. So this is a good way to get that extra something. Let's try it again on UAD, because I don't know if I had my volume up for the last time. All right, so same thing. We're going to try one. Here's a triple root capture without a cabinet. We're bypassing the amplitude cabinet. And then we'll turn on Sound City. I'm just going to default. I guess this is fine. Some different lengths. So this one, it's similar. There's no dry, but you have a close. I'll turn it down a bit. So yeah, a really cool way to give the Tonex a lot more life. I'm definitely going to just be doing this from now on when I record anything. Even if I'm not using the cab emulation. So say for that, say I grab a triple rec with a cabinet. See, it bypasses automatically. And then here I would just grab, instead of the 412s, like one of these. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was helpful. So yeah, it was actually about three things. LCR Guitars, palm muting, and then a good way to add some ambiance to your Tonex captures. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.